Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinavale Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Shunyavadi Pashtatara Satanini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we're continuing the exciting part of Brhad Bhagavatamrta, all about Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes. Now that both Gopakumar and his disciple, the Brahmana, are in Siddha forms and they're participating in Krishna's pastimes. So we left off on text 80 last week and picking up on text 81 today. Okay. Oh yeah, that was it. This is after describing the wonder of Goloka Vrindavan and the different pastimes in relation to obviously Krishna and his interaction with the cowherd boys, etc. And his with the cowherd boys, etc. And he's taking lunch, etc., 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 etc. Then Maharaj Parikshit is giving is giving a kind of summary here. Now he's coming out, and again he's going to glorify Goloka by describing other realms, and again establishing Goloka as that supreme abode. So, Hare Krishna. All right. So, someone like to take us in? Yes, Mother Gayatri, go ahead. You can read.
Can you hear me well? Because I'm in the field.
Very clearly.
Okay. Text 81?
Correct.
Above Brahmaloka is the planet of the cows. 1 second, I'll just slow ahead. Yeah. Brahmaloka is the planet of the cows, which is protected by the Sadyas. O Krishna, that great planet is infinitely expansive, pervading the unlimited spiritual sky. That planet is above all others, and there you are to be achieved by intense concentration of the heart. None of us can understand that world, though we have inquired about it from our grandfather. Commentary. Since Vaikuntha is unlimited, nothing can be beyond it in ordinary time and space. Yet, there is a transcendental sense in which Goloka, the planet of the cows, lies above Vaikuntha. Just as Sri Shivaloka, due to its comparative excellences, is considered above the infinite abode of liberation, and just as Vaikuntha is understood to be above the boundless Shivaloka, so Sri Goloka is above Vaikuntha. To assert that Goloka lies beyond even Vaikuntha is valid because only on Goloka do the pastime energies of the personality of Godhead display reality in its most perfect state. Goloka is presided over by the Sadyas, meaning those who are worshipped by great saints. These Sadyas are Krishna's dearmost devotees, Sri Nanda and others, whom Brahma, Sanaka, Shiva, and Narada try to emulate by all the means of spiritual discipline and their command. Another way to understand the word sadhya, as derived from the verb meaning to accomplish, is that all the cowherd men and women of Goloka manage to bring Krishna under their control by the unique ecstatic sentiments they have for him. Or else these sadhyas are the gopis, headed by Sri Radha. Sorry, it's flipped. Krishna's dearest, where was I? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost it. Or else these sadhyas are the gopis headed by Sri Radha, Krishna's dearest devotees, and therefore the most important residents of Goloka, who perpetually manage to maintain the glories of that abode by their wonderful pastimes with Krishna. The term sadhyas normally refer to a class of ordinary demigods, but the notion that texts 81 and 82 refer to these demigods is no more reasonable than the idea that the luminaries mentioned in text 80 refer to the sun, moon, and stars. The ordinary satyas, like the celestial bodies of the material world, cannot travel even to Satyaloka. What to speak of Vaikuntha? Certainly, therefore, these satyas cannot reach Goloka, and their being its protectors is out of the question. Goloka pervades the spiritual sky, exceeds all limiting conditions of material existence, and most fully manifests pure eternity, cognizance, and bliss. In contrast to the tiny sky of the material world, the spiritual sky is infinite. Goloka has its place in that infinite sky. The absolute truth is called Akasha, the sky, because as the sky, or the material ether, pervades the created universe and remains unchanged as long as the universe exists, Brahman is all pervading and eternal. The greatest sky, Mahakasha, is Parabrahman, the Supreme Person Sri Krishna, with his dense, dark blue effulgence. Vaikuntha, the complete manifestation of Satchit Ananda, is present within Krishna, and thus in essence non-different from him. And within that spiritual existence, Goloka is the supreme abode. It is above Sri Vaikuntha, which is above all other worlds. As difficult as it is for conditioned souls to comprehend Vaikuntha, Goloka is even more mysterious. Goloka can be understood only by the tapas of complete concentration of the heart. Mundane reason fails even to begin to approach it, and it remains unknown even to the great sages who, for information about it, approach the grandfather of the universe, Brahman.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to ask. So there is
Yeah.
a planet of just cows.
Well, that is Goloka. It's known as
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yes, Goloka.
not,
Yes.
not just cows. It's Krishna.
Yeah, I was
Close
like-
to cows.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
I was a bit, never heard of that, and I was just thinking.
Yeah, it's known as, it's one of the names of, well, it's known Goloka. It's known as a place, yeah, where it's a place of cows. Yeah, Goloka.
Cows, yes, Krishna and cows. Yeah.
Right. So, an inconceivable realm,
Yeah.
which is fantastic and extraordinary, definitely compared to the material realms. And but this has been mentioned twice. Just this Goloka can be understood only by tapas of complete concentration of the heart. Okay. So complete concentration of the heart. I think that only it's a deep level of purification by which which Goloka can be even manifest within the meditation of the purified devotee. Yeah. Through obviously devotion. Anyway, it's quite some Sanat Goswami's also speaking about the word sadhya has different meanings. We have sadhana, which is practice, and sadhya, which is the goal. Yeah. But this word has also been used to indicate the sadhyas here, or else these sadhyas are the gopis headed by Radhika, Krishna's dear most devotees. They're the most important residents of Goloka. Yeah, also can mean the demigods, as Sanat Goswami is saying. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Any other questions about this inconceivable topic, Goloka Vrindavan?
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the absolute truth is called Akasha. The sky. Yeah, what was that point caught my attention here as well? Goloka pervades the spiritual sky. So Goloka pervades the spiritual sky. Exceeds limiting conditions of material existence, yeah, and most fully manifests pure eternity, Satchit Ananda. In contrast to this tiny sky of the material world, the spiritual sky is infinite. Okay, so Goloka has its place in that infinite sky. Okay, by invitation only, one can go there. All right, can carry on reading if you like, Mother. Text 83.
Okay, text 83. Svarga is the goal achieved by such pious practices as control of the mind and senses, and Brahmaloka is the highest destination achieved by those who engage in intense spiritual discipline. Text 84 and 85. But to rise to Goloka, the planet of the cows, is most difficult. That world was under attack by you, O Krishna, competent, steadfast, and wise. But you, O Krishna, competent, steadfast, and wise, saved it by putting an end to all outrages against the cows. Commentary. Here, the name Goloka is explained. Goloka is the residence mostly of cows and their herders. Hardly anyone can gain the privilege to go there. Svargaloka and the higher planets of the sages are comparatively easy to enter, being open to pious fruitive workers who can keep their minds and senses under control. Karmis with less self-control can still reach the lower heavenly regions known as Bilasvarga and Baumasvarga. In contrast, the world of the Supreme Vaikuntha is attained only by those who perfect the Vaishnava discipline of concentrating the mind on the personality of Godhead, who always engage in spiritual activity, and who have pure love of God. Yet, compared to either the higher planets of the material world or the spiritual planets of Vaikuntha, Goloka is in all ways superior. It is the supreme destination from which one never returns. Certainly, Goloka is not the home only of cows, since the gopas and gopis who tend those cows have already been indicated by the word sadyastam, palayantihi, the sadyas protected. Just as Gokula in the Mathura district on earth, even though named after the cows, is also the residence of cowherds, Goloka in the spiritual world is also populated by devotees in various relationships with Krishna. Reciting these prayers to Krishna, Indra confesses that he tried to disturb the peace of Krishna's abode. Of course, Goloka is eternal and always fully blissful, and everyone allowed to go there is immune from all troubles. But Indra, not completely aware of the glories of Goloka, wrongly thinks he created a disturbance there. Describing his offenses from his own limited point of view, he imagines that by attacking Gokula on earth, he also created anxiety in Goloka, the topmost spiritual kingdom.
Okay, so that clears it up at the end there, because we understand the difference between Goloka and Gokula. So Gokula is Boma Vrindavan, and Goloka is, can we say, Vrindavan, manifest only within the spiritual realm. Yeah. In one sense, they're considered to be simultaneously one and different. But what's the difference? Can someone say the differences between Goloka and Gokula?
Gokula, anyway, what I think Gokula in the material place is where devotees are trained to go back home.
Yeah, well, those who reach perfection, as sadhakas, then they will enter, as we mentioned many times, that they will enter into Boma Vrindavan and get the association of the devotees of the Lord. Yeah, but I was looking for something else. There is a specific difference between Gokula and Goloka. I mean, that's one.
Mhm.
Or what goes on in Gokula that doesn't happen in Goloka.
The demons done.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. There is no Kamsa. There is no Shishupal. There is no Dantavakra. There is no Putana. Oh, she's in a different form there, in a Siddha form. Yeah, by the grace of Krishna. There is rumors of demons to create a certain rasa, but there is no actual disturbance at all coming from demonic people. Yeah, there's no one trying to kill Krishna in Goloka. No entrance. So just this last part is interesting, that Indra is thinking that by causing a disturbance in Gokula is causing a disturbance in Goloka. Yeah. But no, there is no disturbance. There is no torrential rain in Goloka. Okay.
So in Gokula,
Yeah.
even like demigods, and they come to.
Yeah, that's another good. Yeah, it's another good point. They can even the devas, they can have darshan of the Lord's pastimes, and they watch, Lord Brahma and the demigods, and that's Krishna's kindness, that he's manifesting the spiritual realm, or a facsimile of the spiritual realm, within the plane of the material world. Yeah. And he manifests, it becomes manifest, and it becomes apakrata, becomes unmanifested. But still, for those who are purified, then they can see that original abode, or they can see Krishna's pastimes here, even now, in a place known as Vrindavan. Yeah? But they are unmanifest and apakrata. I got that, if I pronounce that right. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay, can you read another couple of verses, Mother? Then we'll call on anyone else like to read. You can read 86 and 87.
Okay. Text 86. Also, thus, O son of Kunti, in many different forms I do move about here on earth, on Brahmaloka, and in the eternal Goloka. Commentary. This verse is from a conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, found in the Skanda Purana. Before making this statement, Krishna spoke about several of his incarnations, including Lord Jagannath in Purushottama Kshetra. The Goloka in which Krishna appears is an eternal spiritual realm, but in the material world, there is also another planet of cows. The Surabhi, who visited Krishna on the earth after Krishna lifted Govardhana hill, was the mother of all cows in the material universe. She came from her residence on the material Goloka in the Satyaloka planetary system to perform the Abhisheka of Krishna. Being very pleased with him for having saved her descendants in Mathura Gokula, Surabhi wanted to take part in the ceremony conducted by the demigods to officially recognize Krishna as Indra Govinda, the Indra of the cows. The Goloka where Mother Surabhi lives is the destination of fortunate cows who do not live in Mathura Mandala and associate with Krishna and his Gopas, but who belong to Brahma and other demigods. Since Krishna is always present in Mathura, Yatra Nityam Sanihita, the cows with whom Sri Gopala Deva shares his eternal pastimes in Gokula later become eternal residents of the Goloka above Vaikuntha. Check 87. Should I stop?
Just read text 87.
Okay. Text 87. Sri Janamejaya said to the sage Jaimini, O foremost of Vaishnavas, I heard these same verses from Vaishampayana, and I derived some understanding from them.
Okay, thank you, Hare Krishna. Anyone else like to continue reading from text 88? Janmejaya. So this Brhad Bhagavatamrta is being related by Janmejaya to.
It's so nice. Do I understand correctly that the cows of demigods get liberated, retain their cow bodies, and go to a special planet?
Yeah, well, they go to Goloka. That's a special planet they go to. Yeah, that is described here, and I never kind of understood that before. Yeah. So the Surabi cows who come from the Satyaloka, they come and they partake in Krishna's coronation, so to speak. And because of that association, I guess I might think the cows coming from Satyaloka get the association of the cows who are eternal cows. And from that, they get the qualification. That's my speculation, that part, how the cows associate with other cows. Since Krishna is always present in Mathura, the cows for whom Gopal Dev shares his eternal pastimes in Gokula later became eternal residents. Yeah, so correct, yeah. Of the residents of Goloka above Vaikuntha. Yeah. So he's kind to share his pastimes with those cows from Satyaloka. And then they go to Goloka.
What about the cows who live, at the manor, when they leave their body, they go back to Goloka?
No, they become pujaris in the next life.
Really?
Wow.
I don't know. I'm only speculating, but I always think cows make good pujaris because they're very peaceful and they can stay in one place for a long time.
Can I just ask one question? The Surabi cow, she's the mother of all cows, and she came from the material Goloka. So I always understood that Goloka was in the spiritual. So there is a material Goloka. She came from her residence on the material Goloka. Sorry.
Yeah, let's get the Goloka and Gokula. We get the words mixed up.
Yeah.
Let's read the purport again. In which Krishna appears.
The Gokula in which Krishna appears is an internal spiritual realm, but in the material world there is another planet of cows. The Surabi who visited Krishna on the earth after Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill was the mother of all cows in the material universe. She came from her residence on the material Goloka. So I just got a bit confused.
Yeah. So let's just take it as it is. The material Goloka.
Because I always thought Goloka was the spiritual. I didn't think that there was a Goloka in the material.
There is, within every universe, there's a spiritual planet. And that's where Lord Brahma goes to the ocean of milk, where there is a Vaikuntha planet. So it might be referring to that. Yeah. The material, let's see, look, on the material go.
Yeah, material Goloka.
Also, I think Mohini joined.
It's such a local planetary system. So it's a Vaikuntha planet within Satyaloka.
Oh.
Yeah. And it comes to form.
I just got a bit confused.
No, it's good. Thank you for clarifying to bring up that point. Yeah. Being very pleased with him for having saved her descendants in Mathura. Surari wanted to take part in a ceremony conducted by the demigods to recognize Krishna as Indru Kavam. The Goloka where Mother Surabi lives is the destination of fortunate cows who do not live in Mathura Mandala and associate with Krishna and his gopas, but who belong to Brahma and the other demigods. Since Krishna is always present in Mathura, the cows with whom Gopaldev shares his eternal pastimes later become eternal residents of the Goloka of Vaikuntha.
above
So there's a
Vaikuntha.
material Goloka and there's a Goloka which is
The eternal in spiritual.
As far as Chandravali, you asked a question about cows, which are there at Bhagavatamrta Mana.
Yeah, I just wondered because recently there was one cow who left. It's cow or bull. So I was wondering, where do they go back, you know, to
Does
Goloka?
anyone know? In what level of holy dharma? Because Radha Gokula and Nanda are there. So I guess I mean, to answer the question, I'm going to say that I don't know. That's why it's half.
Do they become humans in their next life, the cows?
Well, that's generally the natural evolution.
That was their last kind of animal.
Yeah.
Kind
Well, that's with any cows, as far as I understand. Next birth is human.
Yeah.
It's they're kind of animals, kind of somewhat resemblance from the animal objective sattvic compared to other animals. So, but exactly, it's another question you could ask Krishna next time. Next time you ask Krishna, you ask, okay, so where did the cow go that recently left its body? I mean, devotees normally chanting the holy name when the cow's leaving his body. Normally there's bhajans and come and they chant and they get mahaprashadam, they get the garlands, they get maha garlands from the deities, and throughout their life their milk is going for the pleasure of Radha Gokulananda and Radha London Ishvara. Their Mangaladi sweets. So let's presume it's definitely a profound place where they've gone. Perhaps they've gone to Boma Vrindavan, where Krishna's performing his pastimes.
Wow.
I can't say for exact. I can't give anything sastric on it. But the fact that they served, because it has to be done with, I don't know, because one has to be absorbed in knowledge of love, but the Mahaprasad is very powerful. The holy name is very powerful. If that sound vibration enters the ear of the cow when the cow's leaving. Anyway, Hare Krishna. If anyone knows
a side question.
Yeah, please.
What happens to the bodies of the cows when they depart in the manner? Do they cremate them?
No, they have to call by a law they have to call the municipality and they take them away, as far as I know. And probably
Oh no, I hope they don't eat them.
Yeah, I would hate to let's not imagine what they may do to the cows, but they definitely don't cremate them on the manor grounds. All types of health and safety and etc. and permissions, and so I don't know. I hate to think what happens.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
Then the soul's left that body. It's not theirs.
So the souls had a very pious end, the body is just the body.
I think, what do they do in India? I think the cows, then their skin is used to make madangas and like that. There's a certain class, it's a certain class of persons who it's all corrupt in India, so they kill cows, but naturally, if they die a natural death, then there's a class of people who actually make money from the dead cows, selling different parts of the body, etc. Anyway, Hare Krishna, yikes. Okay, let's read on. Yeah. Text 88. Anyone like to read from text 88?
Is it?
Go ahead. 88.
Mohini, you go.
Oh, is it? But now, is that? Sorry, I've got a new iPad here, so I'm just. Oh yeah, but now, okay. But now, by hearing these verses from you, my heart shines with fresh insight. Oh, just see the most amazing glories of the Supreme Lord's devotees. Commentary. The deep meaning of statements such as these from Sri Harivamsa can be fathomed only by the mercy of exalted devotees of the Supreme Lord. King Janmajaya acknowledges that the great sage Jaimini has kindly blessed him with the ability to understand the purport of these verses. The king praises Jaimini, his spiritual master, hoping to hear more. Fearing that this narration is about to end, my heart burns with sadness. Please dispense some medicinal tonic by which my heart may again be fully satisfied. Commentary. Having offered suitable praise, Janmajaya now reveals his heart, just as a person attacked by fever may dread the approach of death. Janmajaya dreads the end of his conversation with Mahamuni Jaimini. Janmajaya pleads for something to pacify his heart, as a fever-stricken man might beg medicine from his doctor. Janmajaya wants Jaimini to directly administer a Rasyana tonic flavored with the transcendental tastes of the glories of the Supreme Lord and his devotees. This elixir, administered through the ear, will make his heart again feel happy. Sorry, I just have to move. Oh God. Sorry. Sri Jaimini said, "My dear child, in the joy of having spoken about the glories of Goloka, your father recited several verses that complement these two wonderful histories. Those charming verses express various sweet ecstasies and bear the essential purport of all the Shrutis and Smritis. By chanting them, I am able to dispel the sorrow I feel in the absence of your respected father, and thus I travel happily in this world. Now I shall recite those verses to you." Commentary. Janmajaya's request reminds Jaimini that Parikshit Maharaj, after finishing the history of Gopa Kumara, recited a few verses of Sri Brahma Samhita that glorifies Goloka, and spoke several verses of Srimad Bhagavatam's 10th canto that extol Mathura, Vrajbhumi and its residents. The verses of the 10th canto highlights various special ecstasies of Vraj Bhakti that will be discussed in the commentaries. Since remembering these verses gives Jaimini relief from the disappointment caused by King Parikshit's departure, Janmajaya, Parikshit's son, should also feel enlivened to hear them.
Okay, so that's who he is. It's Parikshit's son. Yeah, just a reminder.
Janmajaya.
And Janmajaya. He's the one who, after Parikshit was killed, although he already had gone back to the spiritual abode, but when he was attacked by then he, Bhagavatam describes, then he invoked a great yagna by Brahmins to kill all the snakes, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was very angry with the snakes. Okay, continue. So now we're going to hear some verses from Brahma Samhita. These we're familiar with. Please see it. So we're going to hear Sanatana Goswami's commentary on these verses as well. So this will be nice.
Can we recite those verses?
Yeah, well, with that we know the meter, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we can, Ananda te Govinda Maripusham Tamaham Bhajami. Okay, what's the meter? Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pati Bhava. Maharaj,
आनंद चिन्मय रस प्रतिभाविताभिः ताभिर्य एव निजरूपतया कलाभिः गोलोक एव निवसत् अखिलात्मभूतो गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, continue reading.
Oh, shall I carry on reading?
Yeah.
I worship Govinda, the primal Lord. He resides in everyone's heart as the supersoul and simultaneously in his own realm. Goloka with Radha, who resembles his own spiritual figure and embodies the ecstasy potency, Ladini. Their companions are her confidants, extensions of her bodily form, who are permuted with ever blissful spiritual rasa. Commentary. Text 92 through 95 come from the 5th chapter of Sri Brahma Samhita, in which Lord Brahma sings the glories of Adipurusha, the original personality of Godhead, Sri Govinda. Here, in the 37th verse of that chapter, Lord Brahma reveals the super excellence shown by Govinda and his associates and paraphernalia in the supreme abode, Golok. In the phrase Nija Rupataya Kalabi, Krishna in Goloka is accompanied by his counterparts. The word Kalabi can be understood in different ways. One meaning of Kala is the means of artistic expression, which is the context indicates Krishna's skills in the art of enchantment. By those skills, he exploits the wondrous attractions of his beauty and personal qualities. Kala also means expanded parts, which can be understood to refer either to Srimati Radharani and her principal companions or to all the Gopas and Gopis of Golok. The phrase Nija Rupataya means either that the devotees' expansions of Krishna, the Gopis, and all of the cowherds are spontaneous in their devotional exchanges with him, or that they are expansions of his personality and similar to him in form. They are fully endowed with Ananda Chinmaya Rasa, direct perception of transcendental ecstasy, which they know in its most intense aspects. In fact, the power of bhakti eternally manifests these various devotees to serve as prototypes, emblems of each rasa. Krishna is the super soul of all beings, the witness and regulator dwelling always in the hearts of everyone. Yet he also lives eternally in Golok to enjoy with his intimate devotees. He is the original Purusha, the source of all avtaras, greater even than the Lord of Vaikuntha. To indicate greater distance, Brahma uses the third person, pronoun tam, to refer to Govinda. Tam aham bhajami. I worship that Lord. In this way, Brahma speaks as if Govinda, who resides in such a faraway place, were impossible for him to see.
Okay. So Śvetadvīpa Swami here is dissecting the Sanskrit and expanding on this word of Kala. Yeah. Yeah. Any questions or comments? Okay, you can read on, Mother. Okay, let's chant together.
Let's chant, yeah.
Golokanamini jatami jata tatasya devi mahesha haridamasu tesu tesu te prabhavani vitasjayena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Lowest of all is the mundane world, Devi Dhamma. Next above it is the abode of Mahesha Dhamma. Above Mahesha Dhamma is the abode of Hari Dhamma. And above all is Krishna's own realm, named Golok. I adore the primal Lord Govinda, who has allotted to the rulers of those graded realms the respective authorities. Commentary. This is verse 43 of the same chapter of Brahma Samhita. Below the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands countless worlds, presided over by Lord Narayan, Lord Shiva, and the goddess Devi. Sri Narayan rules over the Vaikuntha planets and the replicas of Vaikuntha within the material realm, such as Mahakalpura, the abode of liberation. Devi rules the entire material universe, and she is the presiding deity of the unmanifested material nature. The eighth layer of the shell that encloses the universe, the infinite variety of wonders displayed in all these worlds, is produced by the personal power of Govinda. Thus, his energies, non-different from him, because they proceed from him, are the sources of endless variety. Govinda's expansion, like Narayan, Shiva, and Devi, are wonderful, and the worlds those expansions create are wonderful. Certainly, then, The original world of Govinda is the most wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to reread this again. Like,
I found that a bit confusing.
yeah. Below the abode of the Lord expands countless worlds, presided over by Lord Narayan, Lord Shiva, and the goddess Devi. Sri Narayan rules over the Vaikuntha planets, that's correct, and the replicas of Vaikuntha within the material realm. Okay, so that's what we mentioned. There is a
So there is.
Vaikuntha within each material universe, such as Mahakalapura, the abode of liberation. Devi rules. Devi will be Durga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Devi rules the entire material. Yeah, she's the protectress of the material universe. And she's presiding deity of the unmanifested material nature. So that's Pradhan. And we discussed that a couple of weeks ago. The eighth layer of the shell that encloses the universe. The infinite variety of wonders displayed in all these worlds, protected by the personal power of Govinda. Yeah. These are the source of endless variety. Yes. Okay. Any questions? We probably won't be able to answer anyway.
The 7 layers are in the material universe, and then 8th layer is still within Devi, Durga's control, isn't it?
Yeah.
You understand from here?
Yeah. Then we got the Viraj River, isn't it? That's right. Yeah. That's correct. Yeah.
And also, isn't it that each layer is 10 times thicker than
Yes.
the one?
So what the layers is earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego, like that. Yeah. Interesting. What does a layer of false ego look like?
Probably the thickest one.
Yeah, that's the trickiest one. But exactly what his constitution is kind of, we can't imagine. It's difficult for us to get a head around what's been described sometimes. Yeah. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, fire, mind, intelligence, and the false ego. Yeah. So, okay. So,
Sorry.
go on.
How is false ego changed into subtle ego?
How does it change into subtle ego?
When we live our material body, we take with us ego, mind, intelligence, but they already been purified, right?
Well, if one is following Krishna consciousness,
Yes,
then one's false conception should have been dissolved to one's spiritual conception of the self. But if one dies in material consciousness, then one's false conception of material life and impressions will go with them in a next birth. But the false conception of the self is purified by development of the spiritual self. So emotions in relationship to Krishna will dissolve emotions in relationship to the material world and the objects of the senses. Yeah. So,
Makes sense, yes.
Yeah.
and so the idea is that we want to develop that before we come to the point of leaving our body. So our mind and our senses are spiritualized, and then we will get a body to suit our spiritualized self.
Yeah.
I have a question, Prabhu, if I may.
But yeah.
I always thought since mind, intelligence, and false ego are subtle but still material, that when we leave for the spiritual world, we discard them, like leave them behind. And only the essence, the soul, transcends. That was my understanding.
Well, as I'm saying, it all gets spiritualized. It all becomes spiritualized. One's thoughts, one's feelings, and one's emotions are all in relationship to one's rasa with Krishna. So what is material becomes spiritualized, it becomes transformed, it becomes, the material aspect dissolves and the spiritual aspect manifests. So it's not like when you leave this world, then there's all ghostly, subtle bodies hanging around of the devotees. I don't know if that's what your question was implying.
Yes, because body, the gross body, it goes into ashes, but what happens to the subtle element?
Well, say for a non-devotee, then that subtle body will carry the jiva, or vice versa, into the next birth.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that we know.
Which could be in the
The other one.
8,000.
Yeah, and you got 8,400,000
Yes.
pieces of life for one
Ah.
time. Not followed any dharma or any spiritual principles, they will take birth in the animal species.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So we somehow take part of matter with us when we leave for the
subtle,
spiritual
yeah,
world.
the
Subtle
subtle body. I mean, that's why I'm sure you've experienced, you have, or those who have children, you can see that children, they have a very distinct personality from very young, begins to manifest. It's not like they're a blank slate, because their personality is coming from a previous life in a form of subtle mind,
Many lives. This
Many lives,
very
it gets
different.
contorted and into, many lives. So it's not like a blank slate. It's coming from many lives, as you mentioned, That's why, some people, were generally people born with all types of, you can say all types of idiosyncrasies, they call it, idiosyncrasies, certain types of personality. Yeah. Like we went to a house program a few weeks ago, Vamsi and Rupanuga, and this couple, they had a couple of children. The daughter was totally wild. The only way I can describe it. Screaming, she got my glasses and tried to break them anyway.
Oh, no.
Quite what's the word? Hyperactive. But the son was quite unique. The son, she explained that he never likes to sleep in a bed. He always sleeps on the floor.
Oh,
Yeah, a bit like Radhanath Maharaj. You read
Journey
I
Home.
mean, he would never like to sit on the table. He would sit on the floor to eat. So they're positive idiosyncrasies. But anyway, yeah, so the point is, yeah, it's the subtle, but when the soul leaves, it's in the subtle body. So this is the subtle laws of material nature, which is quite fantastic because people are dying all the time. So it's going on all the time, all arranged by the laws of material nature, one's next birth. But we want to dissolve the whole thing. And that dissolving means developing spiritual sentiments. Yeah. We want to develop spiritual sentiments and attachments for Krishna in this life, feelings for Krishna in this life, an attachment for Krishna, and hopefully in higher stages of bhakti, a pacific relationship with Krishna. If not, we just continue that in the next life. We continue where we leave off. We haven't developed completely the rasas and our relationship with Krishna, then we just continue in the next life. We continue.
But in a better situation than, or you have the facilities to carry on with your bhakti.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, even someone who's materially pious, they're born into a good material situation, let alone a bhakta or a devotee. They would take birth from a family of devotees, or they may take birth from Brahma and get a certain level of association with Krishna's associates. And yes, yeah.
So we should consider ourselves quite fortunate that we've kind of come into Krishna consciousness in this life.
For sure, definitely.
But we also have to be careful because you don't know, with being in the material world. I was talking to one god sister, and her daughter's daughter, like the whole family is really Krishna conscious.
Mm.
And now the daughter's daughter is favorable, but don't want to do too much with Krishna conscious. So you can be born with all the devotees around and grow up and everything, yet as you grow up, you get teenagers and this and that, you kind of change your...
Yeah, the material energy is very powerful. So even we see sometimes that even someone born in a devotee family, they get attracted by the material energy. But for the most part, what's being seen is that they generally, after a few years, they kind of take up to some degree or full degree the practice of Krishna consciousness. You know, they kind of have a run around. I think there's a word for that in the what's the church in America where a very strict church.
Amish?
Aim, is that them? Amish, yeah. And
Amish.
there's this word called rumpara or something like that. It's a German word for let loose. So they allow them to, okay, try the material world. But most people come back. Yeah, but we're seeing we have practical, we can see that. So yeah, so Mother Chandravali is making but yeah, we're very fortunate. We're very fortunate. So but still the material energy world is there. But no, we are very fortunate to get this opportunity. So let's not get distracted by the material energy, you know. Yeah. Okay. Hare Krishna. All right, got a few minutes left. I can just read these last couple of verses and 6 minutes left. Okay. Any more questions or comments on that? But yeah. Like now, reading this, we're dissolving our material body. That's the idea.
Yeah.
We are hearing about Krishna and we're dissolving our material attachments and we're developing thoughts and feelings and impressions for Krishna, you know?
Yeah, I just wanted to understand subtle ego. The false ego is me, mine, my desires, me, everything like that. I wanted to see how it goes into subtle, you know.
Well, that is subtle. It is subtle. It's not gross. You can't, you know, you can cut your gross body.
Yeah.
The mind and intelligence is like gross. It's subtle. It's subtle. But it's definitely there.
As I understand, there's two egos, subtle ego and true ego. Subtle ego goes and then true ego takes over. True ego is spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True ego is that I pack, is that I help to pack Radharani's lunch.
Yes.
I help Lalita. It's a true ego. I gather flowers or I accompany Krishna with the cows and I carry his stick sometimes.
Okay.
That's weird. But I think I'm a mother in the material world. I'm a father of him. I'm a mother of this. I'm a cousin here. I'm a grandma. I'm a grandmother. It's all false ego. It's all false identification. It's not an eternal identity or party. These are different material or parties, which we have to have. We have to function in the material world. So we do have to move with a certain material identity. Otherwise, it gets quite confusing. But internally, we want to be developing a specific relationship of service with a Krishna, or if not Krishna, with Krishna's those who are serving the divine couple. Okay. I worship that transcendental realm known as Śvetadvīpa, where as loving consorts, the Lakṣmīs in their unalloyed spiritual essence. Okay, that's the gopis, yeah. Practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa, their only lover, where every tree fulfills all desires, okay, spiritual desires, okay. where the soil is made of purple gems, what purple gems, and the water is nectar. Every word is a song, every step a dance, and the flute is the favorite attendant. Effulgence in that realm is full of transcendental bliss, and the supreme spiritual entities are all to be tasted and enjoyed. Okay, so the supreme spiritual entities are all to be tasted and enjoyed. So does that mean you eat? No, so you're enjoying the rasa of exchange in relationship to the divine couple. You know, their numberless cows always give transcendental oceans of milk, and transcendental time ever present, without past or future. Eternity exists, not subject to passing away for even a space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka, only to a few very self-realized souls in this world. So this is all Brahma's revelation that he received from Krishna. Yeah? It was all revealed within his heart. You know? All right, commentary. Bit lengthy, but let's go for it. Commentary here, Sri Brahma Samhita 556 directly speaks of the glories of Sri Goloka. Brahma calls Goloka by the esoteric name Śvetadvīpa and portrays it with several short descriptions tied together by the word yatra, in which place. All the girlfriends of the Supreme in Goloka are goddesses of fortune, or in other words, they are in no way inferior to Lakṣmīs, the consort of Lord Narayan. In Goloka, however, the supreme enjoyer is not Narayan, but the original Godhead, Sri Govinda. He is the lover of all the Lakṣmīs of Goloka. In some manuscripts of Brahma Samhita, we find the variant word Parama Purusha, which is in the plural form. With that word, the verse can be understood to mean either that the husbands of the gopis in Goloka are all Mahapurushas, fully surrendered devotees of Govinda, or that Govinda expands himself into numerous duplicate forms to associate with each gopi simultaneously. All the trees in Goloka can fulfill any desire. All talk is as pleasing as pure music. All movement has the ascetic grace of dancing. And Krishna always holds the flute affectionately in his hands. In Goloka, the Param Jyoti, supreme light comprising perfect consciousness and bliss, is directly perceivable, ashradyam. This Jyoti can be identified either with Krishna himself or with the unique prema that pervades Goloka, or even with the lamps and other sources of light in Goloka, all of which radiate absolute light and ecstasy because they emanate from the bodily effulgence of the Parabrahman, Sri Krishna. It can also be identified with the nectar of Krishna's lips, which in Goloka can be tasted, ashvadyam, by his most worthy devotees, the divine gopis. The cows of Goloka are known as Surabhi and Kamadenu. They flood the land with their milk, and absent from Goloka is the passing of time from the smallest fraction of a second to the ultimate length of Brahma's life. In the material world, all events are pervaded by the control of time, but in Goloka, time has no dominance. Sequences of events may appear for the pleasure of Krishna and his devotees in their pastimes, but never manifest are any of the material effects of time: birth, change, fear, destruction. So no one, there's passing of days, yeah, yesterday, today, tomorrow, next week, you know, but it doesn't affect. There is no change. It doesn't have effect of disintegration. Goloka is called Śvetadvīpa, but it's a different place from the Śvetadvīpa found within the ocean of milk in the material universe. Okay, so that sometimes can be confusing, but there's two Śvetadvīpas. In this universe, only a few rare saints know that highest Śvetadvīpa, and they are rarely seen, not only because they are so few, but also because they generally prefer to remain in seclusion to avoid materialistic association, and to freely relish Krishna consciousness. Okay, it's interesting. So, Bhajananandi, we might say. Thus, Goloka is a very secret place, unknown to most people. The Supreme Person also appears in the Śvetadvīpa of the Milk Ocean. But there, not all the women are his goddesses of fortune. He is not the only male consort, and his flute is not visible as his constant companion. Śvetadvīpa in the material universe is surrounded by an ocean of milk, but that ocean is not created from cow's milk. All these special features can be seen only in Goloka. In Śvetadvīpa above Vaikuntha, Sri Goloka is called Śveta, white, because it is supremely pure, and also because it is flooded by white milk of Krishna's cows. It is Dvipa, island, not only in the sense of being a place separate from all others, but also because it is a secluded place, a shelter, the residence of exalted pure souls such as Nanda Maharaj. Like Mathura Mandala on earth, Goloka is shaped like a round island, bordered by the shores of the river Yamuna. And in Goloka, milk flows so abundantly that the whole Goloka world seems to be an island floating in the middle of an ocean of milk, predominated by cows. Sri Mathura in the spiritual world is like the milk ocean, milk everywhere. And within that region is Sri Vrindavan, the white island Śvetadvīpa, the land where Nanda Maharaj's cows graze and ever drench the ground with their milk. Okay? It's a bit different than the West End of London. Okay? Where we are. Okay, so thank you everyone for this reading of Bhagavatamrta. And don't forget that tomorrow we won't be having a reading, but we'll pick up next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, okay. We can
Monday as well?
No.
My mistake. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can read. You can. You're welcome.
Yeah, I got excited.
You're welcome to get together tomorrow yourselves if you like and do a reading. But okay. Thank you, everyone. And let's meditate on what we heard this evening about the wonderful realm of Śvetadvīpa and Gokula and Goloka. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare. Thank you.